Mr. Links, how are you doing?
I'm good, Duncan. Under the circumstances. How are you doing?
I am doing good. Sir, please quickly introduce yourself to our listeners.
Well, I'm the editor of Namibia Fact Check, which is a project of the Institute for Public Policy Research, which is based in Windhoek. And the Namibia Fact Check project is 2 years old now, and what we do is debunk and try and produce media information literacy sort of content that speaks to some of the falsehoods that we have been seeing on social media in Namibia. And mostly around, over the last year, most of the work we've done is around debunking some of the disinformation and falsehoods we've seen around COVID-19 and lately the COVID-19 vaccines. So that's, in short, what Namibia Fact Check is about and what I'm about.
Well, sir, I just quickly want to know, what is the biggest misinformation in Namibia from your point of view?
Well, at the moment, we see a lot of anti-vaccine related disinformation, which isn't a lot of it. Most of it doesn't emanate from Namibian social media users. It's mostly these American anti-vaccine activists. So that's what we're seeing at the moment. But what the Bill Gates related stuff, disinformation and falsehoods and hoaxes, that's been going around a lot. The 5G stuff has also come and gone and keeps on going around.
Yeah.
And then you have various others, around treatments and the herbal remedies and the like, steaming and the like, that sort of thing. So these things come and go, but they never really go away. They just keep circulating and continue going, despite having been debunked not just in Namibia or on the continent or by fact checkers around the world and health authorities around the world. They just keep going. So that's it's all sorts and they come and go.
My question to you is, what some of the misinformation that has been going around has actually been true?
Very little of it, actually. In fact, not much of it. Some of the stuff is just at a rational level. If you think about it just isn't true. It can't be true. Things like implanting chips in people and that sort of thing. That sort of technology doesn't even exist.
Yeah.
But people still share these things as if they are true. But there are very simple explanations by technologists online that you can access where it's explained very clearly how this technology would have to work and why it doesn't exist yet. It's not to say it won't exist in the future, but it doesn't exist at this point in time.
Yeah.
And there are various other things. The whole 5G and COVID-19 stuff and how that has changed from 5G, from COVID-19 being, sort of a consequence of 5G rollout in China and then spreading around the world, or COVID-19. The virus being activated by 5G waves, or these sorts of things. These things evolve. So there's a whole range of these 5G hoaxes or falsehoods out there. That sort of thing. None of this is true.
Yeah.
And it's proven to not be true. But I think people are sort of low information, most people, so they don't know that most of the stuff isn't true. Or actually, the vast majority of things aren't true. One thing about the people who've spread sort of the falsehoods around COVID-19, is that their record on things actually turning out the way they say they, or being true. Their record over the last year has just been terrible.
Yeah.
They have gotten nothing to very little right about anything around COVID-19. And I mean, but this doesn't stop them. They just keep on producing and peddling these sorts of lies and falsehoods, and conspiracy theories. Even if they then are caught, the science is catching up to them, and the science then debunks whatever they're saying. They just keep going. They make up a new one. It doesn't faze them, almost, which is, you have to respect that sort of attitude of not giving up. But I mean, it's becoming frustrating, and
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I just want to know. I've been listening to the podcast, and one of the questions that I do have is with the vaccine that is currently being rolled out, it has been administrated that there's one case of, or there's one step that has not yet been, what do you call it? There's one step that hasn't been approved yet.
Well, it's actually now been approved. I mean, last week the World Health Organization approved the Sinopharm vaccine, so that particular one is also. Now that hurdle is also out the way now.
Okay.
So last week the World Health Organization announced the approval of the Sinopharm vaccine. You can find it online on the World Health Organization's website.
Yes, because
and as I said in the podcast, it was just a matter of time, and it's now happened. So this vaccine, if you had any doubts or fears about this vaccine, I mean. It's now been approved by the World Health Organization for emergency use, and I mean we already have it in the country, and people are being vaccinated with it. I haven't heard any stories so far of people having adverse, reactions to the vaccines. There's over, I think, around 3,000 people have now been vaccinated.
Yeah.
And I mean, I haven't heard any of any adverse reactions from amongst those 3,000 or so people that have been vaccinated to date over the last few weeks. So I mean, if people still have doubts, I think you can go and talk to the healthcare providers and ask them the questions that would about the vaccines. That we have here. So we have the Sinopharm vaccine, 100,000 doses that we received from China.
Yeah.
And we have the Covishield vaccine from the Serum Institute of India. The Covishield vaccine is the name for the Indian version of the AstraZeneca vaccine. It has another name in Europe. It's not Covishield in Europe. It's called something else, but that's the name it has. It's called Vaxzevria in Europe, if I'm not mistaken. Let me quickly just make sure of that. It's called, let me just quickly, before I spread some falsehoods here myself, I'd rather be...
100%.
Yes, it's called Vaxzevria in Europe. That's the name of the AstraZeneca vaccine, and the Indian version, which is the same vaccine but is licensed to the Serum Institute of India, is called Covishield, and that's the vaccine we have. So we have 120,000 doses in Namibia at the moment.
Yes. No, just on that note, the AstraZeneca is one of the vaccines that are currently making headlines, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is.
Still trying to figure out whether or not the Ministry of the World Health Organization says it does not give any blood clots. And
No. What they said was they have no sort of concrete evidence, and this is backed up by the European Medicines Agency as well.
Okay.
They have no sort of hard evidence that the vaccine, the AstraZeneca vaccine, causes the blood clots, which it has to be said, is a very rare reaction. It's
Yeah.
not as if it's it's happening to every second person or third person or even fifth or 10th person. This is a very rare reaction in very rare cases. But what they're saying is that the probability exists that this is likely that the vaccine is likely producing this reaction in some people.
Yes.
We have to sort of underline that this is a very very rare reaction. And they make the they state that the benefits of the vaccine, despite this potential or probable blood clot reaction, the benefits of the vaccine still outweigh the risks of taking the vaccine. So, I mean, it's not that they are saying that, taking a hard stance and saying that this vaccine is causing the blood clots. That's not the situation. They're saying it's probable, it seems highly likely that this is happening in very rare cases. They're not discounting it, but they still recommend this vaccine to be administered wherever it's being offered.
Yeah. So, just on one more note, is there anything that you would like to tell our listeners out here about getting the vaccine or the misinformation of what's going on with the pandemic?
Look, I mean, my stance is, I mean, if I'm offered the vaccines, if my turn comes, I'll take either the Covishield or the Sinopharm vaccine. All of the vaccines, none of the vaccines have been shown to be. There are currently, I mean, more than 10 vaccines being administered in various countries around the world.
Yeah.
The Sinopharm vaccine has been administered for a number of months now. There have not been reports of deaths or widespread adverse reactions to the Sinopharm vaccine or the Covishield vaccine, aside from, of course, this rare blood clotting condition that has emerged in some countries in Europe. So, I mean, I would take any one of the vaccines if they come my way. And I think, I mean, if people want more information about the vaccines, they can go to the World Health Organization website, where a lot of this information is. I mean, if you want the statements on the World Health Organization's position on the AstraZeneca vaccine, it's online. It's on its website. You can get hold of it there. You can read through what they are saying, why they are saying it, and you can go and take a look at what the other vaccines are and what their positions are on these vaccines, where the other sort of 100+ vaccines are in development, because there are over 100 vaccines in various stages of development around the world. So, I mean, you can go and take a look at all this information. It's available online. It's freely available online. As to the disinformation out there, I think, we're more than a year into this pandemic. People really ought to, at this stage, be a lot more discerning about what they believe, and as well as what they share or forward in their WhatsApp groups or Facebook groups and so on.
Yeah.
Because most of this that we're seeing coming via WhatsApp and Facebook. So, I mean, we should really take responsibility for how we conduct ourselves on social media, each and every one of us. Let's not be the people spreading lies. I don't want to think of myself as a person who's lying to my close friends, family, and associates by just sharing or forwarding things to family groups or friend groups or associate groups. Let's not be that person. Let's not be the person who spams our family and friends with falsehoods in WhatsApp groups or in Facebook groups. Let's be the people who, let's each of us try and be the person who tries to spread credible information, verified information, information that comes from credible authorities. So, I mean, that would be my advice. Let's try and be, more responsible on social media, and try and be the people who make sure that people have the right information. Because, the falsehoods can have real-world impacts. They can cause harm. They can cause they've caused a real-world harm in other parts of the world. They've caused harm here. I mean, we had the death of the young woman at Walvis Bay, committed suicide because she believed a 5G conspiracy theory. So, I mean, there's real harm that comes with these lies, with these falsehoods. And you don't want to be the one that causes your friends or family or associates harm in this way. So I would encourage people to seek out credible, authoritative information from credible, authoritative sources instead of believing the first anonymous thing that comes through your WhatsApp group or into your WhatsApp profile or on your Facebook, some YouTube video of some guy who you don't know if he's credentialed or qualified to speak about anything about COVID-19. So, I mean, really stop believing such things. Who are these people sending the voice notes? Who are these people sitting in cars commenting on vaccines or COVID-19? I mean, who are they? You don't know who they are. Why do you believe them?
Yeah.
So, I mean, stop sharing this sort of content. That would be my advice to people.
Mr. Links, thank you so much for coming through.
It was a pleasure, and I'd like to be back on to talk more about this sort of thing.
Yes, I will hope to have you soon once again. Thank you so much for giving our listeners an update on the misinformation of COVID-19. That was Mr. Links with his COVID-19 misinformation, March Madness misinformation of COVID-19. If you guys did enjoy that one, please do stay tuned to the rest of the OFM program right here on 9 to 1.